Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Orr, and I'm a professor for IS287 this term. Tonight, on Thursday evening each week, I have an office hour that starts about 4:30, and each week I'll do something a little different. The first week, I usually just kind of go over some important stuff related to the course, and for that reason, I'm not surprised that that I didn't have anyone join this week. Because I think just about the entire class had me last term, and so you guys who had me last term, you're familiar with how the course operates and what's required of you and everything, and of course IS287 is just essentially a continuation of IS285 for all intents and purposes. We have a different course within the Cisco Academy, obviously, because we're covering different topics under the CCNA routing and switching umbrella. But as far as our HERZing course goes, and Canvas and your assignments and what's required, all that's the same as it was, the previous term when you had me for IS285. Now, I know there are a couple of you who did not have me for IS285 last term, so this video, will likely be more helpful for you. So anyway, just hang with me, I guess, if you're new, and if you didn't have me last term for IS285, and I'll kind of hit the high points here as far as what's expected of you for the course. I will have this office hour at this time each week. In future weeks, I won't I don't plan to recover any of the stuff that I talk about here this evening, but typically what I do is I don't necessarily have anything planned in advance. I wait to see if students show up, and if they do, then we just kind of see where things go. Sometimes students have questions about the topics or the material that we're covering that week, or sometimes students like to chat about IT in general, topics like certifications or jobs, career tracks, those types of things. So I don't necessarily, lock down this hour each week for stuff that is 100% related to the course itself. I just kind of let you guys kind of determine which way the office hour goes. If no one shows up for the office hour, then typically I'll still do a recording of some sort, and it'll typically be something related to a topic that is covered that week. So anyway, let's just kind of jump into it here. This, as you see, is the announcement for my office hour this evening. Make sure that you've taken a look at all the announcements that were posted here in week one. Again, if you had me last term for IS285, you're pretty familiar with all of this. Probably the only thing you should do is refresh your memory on the late policy, because it will be followed. Take a look at the welcome video for this course. And really that's about it. But again, if you did not have me for IS285 last term, you want to make sure you check all these out. Same as last term, we're not using NetLab. All of your labs are going to be done in Packet Tracer, so if you see a reference to NetLab somewhere, just ignore it. We're not going to be using NetLab. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the course. Each week in Canvas, you'll want to make sure that you go through the modules. Of course, there's a Read Me First section here that you'll want to check out here in week 1. But then in future weeks, when you go into the module, you're going to get a quick summary of the tasks that are assigned to this, inside of this module. It gives you a list of the course objectives, the learning objectives that will be addressed in this module. Then the next tab gets into the different units, each one's going to be different. Each module is going to be different. You're going to have some videos or different things, some interactive type materials here, as well as some reading materials. You'll just progress through your module each week. You should always start out. I'm going to go back here to back here to the beginning. You should start out right here each week and complete any of the reading assignments, which for this class is just going to be going through the assigned sections in the Cisco Academy. You'll find that in the assignment each week. So, and again, just progress through the module here in Cisco. And of course, when you get to the discussion, your weekly discussion post, your initial post is due by Wednesday. If you post it later than that, you'll lose a lot of points. So be sure you get that in on time. Also, any discussion posts have to be done and submitted during the week they're assigned. If you submit it in a future week, I can't give you any credit for it. That's just a university policy. So you've got the weekly discussion each week. Click on next down here, and this shows you the Unit 1 assignment. These are the assignment instructions. I want you to make sure that you pay really close attention to the assignment instructions, and those of you who had me last term, you know how this works. But you've got a Word document that you're going to submit each week. You'll create that Word document and name it according to what it says here. You'll then complete your labs. Again, all of them will be in Packet Tracer, and you'll essentially have a couple of different types or styles of labs this term. One style is like this one right here. This lab does not exist in Packet Tracer, so you're going to open up Packet Tracer and you're going to create it. And since it doesn't actually exist in Packet Tracer and you're creating it, there's not going to be an assessment tab anywhere. So you're not going to worry about that. But you do want to make sure that you upload your completed Packet Tracer file. So as it says right here, you'll save your lab and make sure you do not change the file extension when you're saving it. And then you'll upload your Packet Tracer file to Canvas. And it mentions here you will not include any screenshots from this lab in your Word document. It's just going to be the lab file, the Packet Tracer file itself that I'm looking at for that. The other type of lab assignment that you'll find this term is one that actually does exist in Packet Tracer, so you don't actually have to create it. And for Unit 1, we have 3 of those, and these are those Packet Tracer labs right here, 136, 147, and 161. For these, you will always upload your Packet Tracer file, so basically you're always going to upload your Packet Tracer file no matter what type of lab it is. But for these, you're also going to include a screenshot of the Assessments tab, and that'll be, of course, in your Word document. So when you're done with everything, you'll upload your Word document with all your screenshots to Canvas. If you have a lab where you're assigned questions or something, you will need to answer those questions in that document, and again, upload that to Canvas. You'll also upload all of your Packet Tracer files. If you don't upload both your Word document and your completed packet tracer files, you're going to lose points. And if I can't, if you didn't submit enough documentation for me to really know that you completed the assignment correctly, then you won't get any credit at all. So, make sure that you upload both your Word document with all the screenshots that you're supposed to have, as well as all of your completed packet tracer files. And again, do not change the file extension on those files. Keep it whatever it is when you download it. Don't change that, because if you change it, it'll just mess it all up and you won't be able to get any credit for your work. Okay, so at the end of every assignment, I kind of give you a quick recap here of what you should be uploading. And for Unit 1 assignment, for the Unit 1 assignment, you'll be uploading your one Word document with all the screenshots, and then 4 completed packet tracer files. It's these packet tracer files here, along with this one up here. Okay, so again, same thing as last term. If you had me last term, nothing different. It's the same process. We're just continuing that same process in a new Cisco Academy course is all we're doing. Speaking of that, let's take a quick look at the Cisco Academy course. And our course is the IS287 Spring Term B CCNA version 7 Switching, Routing, and Wireless Essentials course. To launch this course, you click here. Okay, when you come into the course, this is the landing page. In order to get to the learning materials, you have to scroll down to the course content section, and where you see Switching, Routing, and Wireless Essentials course, you'll click there. And that opens up what is essentially what you can think of as your online textbook. We have our various chapters 1 through 16 in this course. If you click on these carrots, arrows, whatever you want to call them here on the left, you can expand each section. And by doing that, you can actually navigate to specific sections. But when you're first going into a chapter each week, you always want to start out at the introduction, which would be the first slide there under introduction, and read through that. And you just keep progressing by clicking down here in the bottom right. Notice that it moves you along over here. So you scroll down, you read through everything, you do any of the activities, like this one here has, it's not really an activity, I guess, just different information about different settings and stuff, but there will be activities in some. So you'll scroll down, read through everything, complete any activities or whatever, and then when you get to the bottom, you'll just click on to the next tab, unless you reach a lab that you've been assigned and you want to go ahead and complete that lab while everything's fresh on your mind. That's fine as well, or you can keep going and come back to those at a later time. As far as what you were assigned in Unit 1, 117 is the first lab, which is this one. So what you'll do is you'll click here. It'll open up a PDF document that has the I'll go ahead and just click on it here real quick. It has the topology for the lab, and it has the lab instructions. So with this one, you're going to have to create the topology yourself in Packet Tracer. So what you'll do is you'll open up Packet Tracer, and keep in mind you need to make sure that you download the latest version of Packet Tracer. If you have an older version, it will not be compatible with the version that I have, and I won't be able to grade your assignments. And also too, something that's very important to note is that you cannot use the mobile version of Packet Tracer, because when you do that, I can't tell the difference. I can't tell that it was done with the mobile version, but it won't open up with the desktop version. So again, I won't be able to grade your assignments. So make sure you have the updated version of Cisco Packet Tracer. To get that, what you can do, if you go back out to the courses, you'll click on I'm Learning, obviously. When you go to your course landing, or to your sign-in landing page where your courses are, of course the only one you have showing up right now is this one, and maybe a few more days of one from the previous term. But if you look up top under Resources and Packet Tracer Resources, Packet Tracer download page, there's a link here. And if you scroll down, here's a 62-bit version of Packet Tracer for Windows, and this is what you need to use for all of your assignments. So that's where you can get that. So going back to the lab here, you'll create your topology, which all we have here is a switch and a PC. So we can click down here to bring up our switches. You should always use a 2960. And then for end devices, here's your PC. Now to look back, here we see what connections we have. This is a connection to Fast Ethernet 06 on the switch, and then this is a console connection. So what you're going to need to do is go to the cables. You'll get a console cable here. You'll connect it to the console port on the switch and to the RS-232 or serial port on the PC. Then as far as connecting the patch cable, you'll come down, you'll get a copper straight through, which is just a regular patch cable. You'll connect it to Fast Ethernet 0 on the computer, and then if I remember correctly, it was Fast Ethernet 6 on the switch you had to connect to. Let's make sure that's right. That's correct. Okay, so at this point we have our topology done, and so now you just progress through the rest of the lab and complete all the required configurations. I do suggest that you answer the questions throughout the labs to help you with, to learn the materials. However, if the assignment itself in Canvas does not say that you have to submit that, then you don't have to turn that in. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go back to the Cisco Academy. Actually, here we can click on the X here. So at this point, I would just keep progressing through the chapter all the way through until I got through chapter 1. And actually, let's see which chapters. Actually, I just realized this should tell you which chapters are assigned back in the modules section. Did I miss it back? Oh, it does. If you go back, we can look here. Module 1, Module 2. Okay, so Module 1 and Module 2 is all you need to cover this week. So if we go back to the Cisco Academy, it's Module 1 or Chapter 1, and then Module 2. So your first main topic for the week is just an introduction to the course, and an introduction to switching. Just some basic things about switches, here you can see the main topics. Do also touch on a basic router configuration, but there's a lot of overlap there in a basic router config and a basic switch config. So again, the first section is more of an introduction and just kind of giving you a chance to kind of get into the swing of things. And then chapter 2, we get into switching concepts. So we'll talk about frame forwarding, collision and broadcast domains, and you've covered all these in previous courses, but you're going to probably get into a little more depth here. But these are all topics that you should already be familiar with. Maybe not a whole lot on frame forwarding, but you should be familiar with collision and broadcast domains at this point. So anyway, those are the 2 chapters that are assigned. Again, we've gone over the assignment. So you have the Unit 1 assignment that we looked at, and that's going to be due on Sunday. And then if we scroll down here, that's all we've got this week. Keep in mind, next week you will have an exam on modules 1 through 4. So you want to make sure you allot enough time for that. Obviously, that's going to cover chapters 1 through 4, modules 1 through 4 here. But 2, let's go back into the course landing page here. When it's time to take the exam, it's just like last term, or if you took IS285 last term, it's the same thing. You just scroll down, look for the exam, click on it and take it. One thing right now that I just thought of, I was waiting till Monday for the class roster to finalize because there were some issues there. So I've got to come in here and make these available to you, but obviously there's no rush. You don't have one until next week, but I'll go ahead and get these activated for you so that you'll have access to them. So that's where you'll get a hold of your module exams. But again, your first one won't be until next week. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I believe that's it. I believe that's pretty much got the basics covered. Again, just make sure you're following the assignment instructions closely each week, and that you're doing, that you're submitting exactly what you need to submit, so that you can get credit for your work. Well, like I said, I think that's about all I need to cover. I don't have anyone here to ask questions, so if you run into a question at some point, chances are your question is going to be answered in one of these announcements. Probably the main announcements would be for getting questions answered would be the welcome video, and then if you need information on Packet Tracer, you'll want to look here. But if you run into something that you can't find an answer to, don't hesitate to reach out. So that's it for the recording this week. Look forward to working with you all this term. Again, just let me know if you need anything.